Welcome to Broadcast to Badass by Best Life Ever with your hosts, Kimi and Pua. If you're ready to stop struggling, stop hustling, and start living your best life ever, you are in the right place. Hi, Pua.
What's up?
You're in the right place.
Thanks. So are you.
Oh, phew. Oh, it's so great to be back podcasting, isn't it?
Yeah, that was weird. It was like a weird moment in time where we didn't know who we were or what we were even doing with our lives without our podcast.
I know. It was like, were we forgetting something? Are we supposed to be doing something right now?
It's not to say we may not take a break again next Christmas, but I don't know. We might.
Well, it's good. Sometimes it's good to take a break from things so that you know what you miss, and then you can add back in the things that you miss. And
you're like, okay, just checking that we like this, and we do, so we're going to keep going. Because if we didn't, guys, we probably wouldn't be here right now. Because that's how we roll.
That's how we roll. Well, today we are going to be talking about how to turn 1 million ideas into $1 million.
$1 million.
Wow, if that title didn't catch you, we don't know. That's like that caught me. But before we dig into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, Pua, do you have something to share with us?
I do. I just think it's so funny that we both, I'm not going to say you teased me because I teased me too. I said meat and potatoes in every corporate presentation that we ever did. And we always like laughed about it after. And I was like, oh, why do I say that? And now we say it all the time. It's
I love it.
Funny.
I say it all the time.
It's not actually what we were going to share just now, but I just can't stop laughing about that. But the second thing that we would like to share with you in this moment is another podcast review. Yay! 5 stars! Woohoo! Okay. And just so you guys know, if you're like, oh, I want to leave them a review, but I don't want them to read it on air, so I'm going to leave them 4 stars instead of 5 because they might not read it. Nope. We're going to read every single one. So just kidding. If you don't want us to read it, just leave a note, okay? But still leave us a review. Okay, moving on. This is from Brooke Craven. Thank you, Brooke. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And it's titled Awesome Podcast. And it reads, Kimi and Pua, hosts of Best Life Ever, highlight all aspects of business in this can't miss podcast. The hosts and expert guests offer insightful advice that is helpful to anyone that listens. Yay! Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you, Brooke. Yeah, love it. Okay. Is it meat and potatoes time?
It's meat and potatoes. It makes me hungry.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to talk about this today, and it's something that has been coming up for us as we've been doing some calls for our program, our new course, Broadcast to Badass. If you haven't heard about it, check it out, bestlifeever.buzz/B2B. And this is whenever we hear like a recurring theme in our conversations with people or in our conversations with each other, we always say to ourselves like, oh, we should talk about this. This would be such a great podcast episode, because we feel then that it's something that is relevant and could be of
And then
value.
we forget. And then we're like, what were we thinking
that
of?
Too.
No, I'm just kidding.
I wasn't going to share that part about it, but that's okay. Thank you for sharing that. We forget, and we spend about 20 minutes trying to figure out what it was. You know what we need? We need a system in place to capture those ideas. We
have a system in place.
Oh, yeah, we need to use the system that we put in place.
We normally do. Look how many episodes we have in our like possible episodes thing.
That's true.
I think it was just a fluke today.
Yes. This one fell through the cracks.
Yeah, with the launch and all that, it's just been kind of nuts.
Right. We need to trust the system. We'll trust the system in the future. But what's been coming up is we've been talking with a lot of people that have said something along the lines of, I have these entrepreneurial dreams or ideas or this calling. My soul is calling me to do something, but I have all these ideas and I don't know where to start and they don't seem like they go together. And so I'm stuck in the trying to figure out what I want to do and what I want to take action on place. And then therefore I'm not taking action. Right? So can you relate with that at all? We certainly can.
For sure. Well, can we back up for just a second and explain what B2B is and why this is coming up, because I think it's worth giving a little background on like, okay, so these are people who are applying to be a part of our program that is for entrepreneurs to get real clear about what your business is, what your voice is, who your tribe is, reaching your ideal clients, putting together whatever online presence makes sense for you. And this is so exciting. Like when we talk to people on the phone, the excitement is palpable. They're like, God, this sounds awesome. I've had these ideas. I have this dream. And this is literally the thing that could take me from having this idea to having something that is bringing in money, giving me the life of my dreams, giving my family the freedom to travel and to live where we want to live and live the way that we want to live. And that excitement so quickly gets just smothered and drowned by the overwhelm of not knowing where to start. And it's like, that's so heartbreaking for us because we'll be talking to someone and that excitement, like it fires us up so bad. We're just like, yeah, let's do this. And then they're like, but okay, wait. Right? Like, I have this idea and this idea. I actually have this, like, it's like halfway implemented, but I want to move this forward. And then they're like, you know what? Let's just reconnect when I have a better idea of what I want to do. When does that reconnection happen? Oh yeah, never. Right? When we have too many ideas, we shut down because we think that we have to choose one.
So good. So true. Thank you. That like perfectly captured it. I'm like on the edge of my seat here. I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly it. I think it breaks our heart too, because we've so been there, you know, and what we wanted to share with you today is just, a few steps that you can take to get yourself out of that place of overwhelm so that you can really start taking some inspired action towards this beautiful vision of your best life ever. And the first place that we'd love to start is to really just taking a moment to tell a new story about having so many ideas. And I think that's where a lot of times the overwhelm and the dampening of the spirit begins. It's right from the beginning when we start feeling like, oh my gosh, I have so many ideas. I'm so all over the place. That's something we hear a lot. And that is a quote unquote bad thing. And what we'd like to offer you first up from, step one, if you will, is to relabel this as retell a news story, that this is not a bad thing. Having a lot of ideas is awesome. That means that you are creative. It means that something is bubbling to the surface. And it's only our society that often makes us feel like we need to we have to choose. We have to know what we're going to be from right? What was the question that we're asked in kindergarten? What do you want to be when you grow up? And so, yeah.
What did you say?
What's up?
What did you say when you were asked that?
It's funny. I recently found my mom gave me a little piece of a little scrap paper that I had written on that said that when I grow up, I want to be a ballerina or an artist. I was like, that's interesting. I don't know if I'm awesome. Either of those, but what about you? What did you want to be?
I said dolphin. That is really telling that you cannot expect a child to decide. Right? And the thing that really kills us is that kids will say things that are so creative, and then I'm sure an adult was like, oh, you can't be a dolphin, so why don't you choose something like a doctor? Just
right.
I could be a freaking dolphin if I want to be a dolphin. Go away. And that is the place that we want to reconnect with. That creativity, that expansion. How can I be a dolphin?
The part of you that wants to be a dolphin.
Yeah,
yes.
I can go swim with dolphins and then I can become one. There's just there's that girl Ocean Ramsey who's the shark whisperer girl.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that she is a shark in a human's body.
Mm-hmm.
That girl speaks to sharks. It's don't dim someone's light like that. That's so, I just want like teachers like Meg, if someone tells Meg, I want to be a dolphin, she's like, then you go be a dolphin.
Oh, yes. I love that. It's that expansive feeling, that limitless potential and possibility, and not feeling locked in. Like we don't have to choose. That's a story. It's a story that you have to choose this very moment what your entire life's purpose is. It's just like in our last episode where we talked about New Year's, right? You don't have to have your entire year planned out on January 1st, and you don't have to have your entire life planned out at any given moment. It's okay to see what's coming up for you, what's emerging, and just honor those inspired ideas that are coming to you. And if you feel overwhelmed by them, first of all, as we said, befriend them, but maybe have a place to capture all of them. Because sometimes we have anxiety because we're trying to keep them all in our heads. And if we instead can have a trusted place where we capture all of our inspired ideas, kind of like the system we were just talking about to capture our inspired ideas for podcast episodes, then there's a part of us that can relax a little bit and know that, the stuff that we can't stop thinking about, the ideas that keep coming up, as Tim Ferriss always says, like the good shit sticks, right? So the ones that are truly, truly calling to you will surface, and you can, it often comes from having a trusted place to put it all.
For sure. I mean, that's something that we teach for just general life. Like that's when we feel overwhelmed, we just have too much that we're keeping in our heads. And yeah, as Kimi said, just have a place for it and know that you do not have to do one or the other. And if you guys need any proof that can be true for you, we did an amazing, like one of our favorite podcast interviews was with Crichton Uwale. And if you haven't heard that yet, go back and listen. This man is such an amazing human. And just to kind of quickly summarize, his story is he was, I'm gonna put this in quotes. He was quote unquote diagnosed with the gift of having attention deficit disorder as a kid, and kind of fought it his whole life as this bad thing, and now is using it to his advantage to be like completely successful in multiple businesses. And the way he manages his businesses and his time is he'll, put some energy and time into one business, and then when he starts to want to shift gears, he'll shift his focus to the other thing that he's working on. And he has a very, very successful, popular, amazing DJ business, The Perfect Wedding DJs. He's running a learning center, Kukui Learning Center. He is producing comedy with a comedy troupe, Local Brothers. This guy, and he's a father. He is a wonderful husband. And he joyfully and calmly and easily does it all. But the clincher is, and this is step 2, it's important that if you have all these ideas and haven't yet taken action on any of them, to start thinking about a strategy that you can put in place to at least take action on something. Because without any action, the ideas will stay ideas forever. And then you have this thing where like, oh, I really wanted to do this, but I just didn't know how, I didn't know when. What we want is for that feeling to never happen, because you get to try anything you want. Anything that you have a dream and a vision for, you can do. You get to do that. We're giving you permission right now if you haven't given it to yourself. But it's so important to have a little bit of a plan in place to start taking action on something. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to figure what that something out. Figure out what that something is. But it's got to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we're so focused on the idea and this feeling that we need to get our ideas fully fleshed out that we stay in that idea brainstorming mode instead of taking real action that will then inevitably help us to fully flesh out our ideas. So consider that for the next step here, something that you could do to take some inspired, imperfect action is to create the time and the space, create a little structure in order to honor the ideas and create time and structure in your schedule to begin fleshing out these ideas. So, we're talking about then implementing systems and structures and focusing your energy there first before feeling like you have to have all the ideas completely figured out before you add in the systems and the structure. Does that make sense?
Totally. And a lot of times what we find is people will have these ideas that come to them as they're driving or they're in the shower. And idea having and idea creating is a muscle. So we used to do this quite often, actually, where we just create like lists of ideas based on whatever it is that we were excited about or whatever it is that we needed at the time, right? So it could be a list of 50 money-making ideas or 50 things to do with a pile of fabric that I have. It's like whatever you want to achieve or whatever it is, start to massage that idea muscle. So the more we think of ideas, the more they're going to come to us, which is why business owners, entrepreneurs, people with that entrepreneurial spirit tend to have ideas so often. And so when we're in the car or we're in the shower and we have all these ideas and we don't want to forget them, and then we write them down, and then they just stay ideas and we never revisit them until we accidentally think about them later. And sometimes these are ideas that excite us and could actually become something amazing. And the only way that will happen is, as Kimi said, you are able to give that list of ideas some attention and some time and some energy to see if these are things that you're actually willing to implement and take action on and turn into something. And it's funny because I was I was eavesdropping a little bit, and he may be listening to me right now, actually, because he listens to our podcast. But someone that we see quite often is a business owner. He owns multiple businesses, and he was just sitting the other day saying, I really want to start another business. I don't know what it is, but I want to start another business. And these are kind of things that will surface for us. These are feelings that we're excited to follow. And it's important then to say like, okay, well, what kind of business do you want to start? Because let's do this. That's awesome. This life is really cool when we start to figure out the systems to take action on feelings like that. But I will back up. We are first. I always do this. Sorry. We want to stay in the zone of like, okay, what do you do when you have all these ideas, but you haven't taken action on any of them yet, right?
Right. Yeah. It's just about, as you said, as we've been saying, is like creating some of that structure in order to allow these things to blossom and settle and get out of just the dream brainstorming idea mode into action mode, if you will, and trusting that then whatever systems you're putting in place can be used for any and or all of your ideas, right? And so I kind of think about writing as an example. So many people, right? They're like, I want to write a book, but I don't know what I want to write a book about. Like there's so many ideas. I have so many ideas. I kind of want to write a book about this and a book about this and this, but they have no writing time scheduled into their calendar. And so it stays in idea mode instead of them, before having that idea of what the book is fully fleshed out, just create a pocket of writing time, and they sit down and maybe they'll use that writing time in the beginning to try out one idea. And then if that's not flowing, then they'll try out another idea. And so it's like creating that space to explore and to flesh out the ideas and to just kind of dance with those ideas a little bit. And I love how that exercise that we've done before about, coming up with as many different ideas as we can. And it's a way to sort of befriend ideas. And again, going back to step one, telling a new story about having many ideas and knowing that, that's a good thing and a fun thing. And James Altucher, is famous for saying that ideas are the modern day currency. And he says that because if you have limitless ideas, then any, like you get a really good system in place for monetizing an idea, for example, and we'll get a little bit more into this in the next step, then you get good at that system by practicing it on an idea. Then you can take all the ideas that are coming and reapply. So, don't be afraid of your ideas and think first about putting in the structure and creating the time and the space to dance with your ideas.
Love that.
Yeah.
What a beautiful segue to step 3. So step 3 is really where all of this comes together and it goes full circle, because for us and in the work that we're doing through Broadcast to Badass, which is our 8-week course for entrepreneurs, is really talking to people who have all of these ideas and helping them to see that implementing one of the ideas, if they're like, I want to do the course, but I just don't know which direction to go in these 8 weeks. And our advice is always to choose one idea, choose one business, choose one new direction, or continue on an existing direction, but only choose one. Focus on it for those 8 weeks, because we're not gonna like meet with you and specifically build this business. We're gonna teach you strategies that work across the board. So get really good at what we teach you in the one thing, and then repeat it across all of the things. You're going to have to change it and massage it to make sense with the other things. But, this is something that is available to you always. And the beautiful part about this is the expansion, right? Because, and the wins. You get to taste what winning is like with one thing. You're going to get real clear on your mission, your vision, your ideal clients. You're going to build funnels. You're going to have an online presence, a membership site, a website, an ebook, whatever it is, right? You're going to have that and you're going to experience it working. So once you start in on the next thing, it's almost like eating frogs, right? It's that like, oh my God, this actually works. Okay, this is functioning. It's moving on its own. Now I have not only the strategies and the skills and the knowledge, I also have the time, I have the energy, I have the money to start working on the next thing. So
Totally.
Ideas that you don't implement in those first 8 weeks or right now or however you decide to do that, those ideas don't have to die. They are just on hold. Okay?
So the question that we often get is, how do you know which idea to choose to start with? And that's such a great question. And the answer is going to be a little bit different for everybody. But we're going to give you a few questions that you can ask yourself when you're thinking. And I think, first of all, we want to encourage you to take a more, like a lighter approach. And I think that's also where people get very stuck. It's like, oh my God, I have to choose the right one. And there is no right or wrong necessarily. This is really about experimentation. And so which is the first one that you can choose to experiment with, to try out, to sort of be your guinea pig, if you will. And a few ways that you can make that decision would be you can pick the one that is the lowest hanging fruit, meaning it's the simplest, it's the easiest to kind of, that there isn't going to be a huge learning curve for you. Maybe you have a lot of content around that idea already. Maybe you have a lot of experience in this area already. It's the thing that you're known for. You feel kind of comfortable there. This is like, it's kind of out of your comfort zone, but not totally out of your comfort zone. It could be the idea that is the most fleshed out for you, or the one that you've spent the most time on. But what we often find is that, frankly, it's the one that excites you the most. And it could excite you for the reasons that we just gave, like it's like easier than the others, or it feels a little less daunting, or sometimes it's just that like your soul knows. And in fact, let's just say that again, because that is the truth. Your soul knows. You know which one, will be a great one to start with, and trusting that you can't make a mistake and that you will learn, you will grow from any idea that you choose to work on. That's going to help you to expand and to grow. So trust that you can't make a wrong decision here. You can't pick the quote unquote wrong thing, because there is no wrong thing.
Amen.
Yeah.
You literally can't. You can't choose wrong. Because if you choose something that works and it blows up, that's rad. And if you choose something and you're like, oh, you could say like, oh, I wish I didn't do this. Or you could say, I learned all of this through this experience and I'm going to apply it to this instead. And joyfully and gracefully, with love and gratitude and some see you later, let this go. Right? And let's just share a little example of how we've been doing something similar recently. So we have recently been learning some like super intensive Facebook ad strategy. And Facebook ads, if you are familiar at all with like what that is, not even if you've done them, but if you've ever heard the word Facebook ad, you're probably like, oh, I don't even want to go there, because they're so confusing and it's always changing. And so we've been really digging into this and we're starting to understand it. But what we had to do was try it with one thing, right? So we started with one ad to our Facebook group, which, by the way, if you're not a part of, please join us. It's really fun. bit.ly/BLE tribe. Little plug. Join us. But we started with that. And same thing. We saw success. We're like, okay, that's how this works. We were able to then create an ad to our program, right? And then we saw success and we're okay, we get it. Now we can create ads for other people, for other things that we're working on. So Kimi and I are part of Shift to Rise, which is a retreat coming up. shifttorise.com if you want to learn more about that. And so we were able to create ads for that, right? So it's this thing that we had to choose one thing to focus on first and learn it. And now we can rinse and repeat across however many things we want. So just taking that on a bigger scale and saying, okay, I'm going to learn the strategies to create and build and nurture this thing, then, and it doesn't matter which one you choose. As Kimi said, whether it's something that takes off and you love, or if it's something that causes you to shift directions, it doesn't matter. It's the experience that gives you the value.
That is such a great example. And it shows you, right? It's like the worst that's going to happen by picking an idea to run a Facebook ad on is that you'll get better at Facebook ads. And then so you're improving on your tech, you're getting more confident, you're learning the skills, and then you can apply it to any of the ideas. I mean, how many ideas have we had and taken action on that we have learned so much from, but maybe those ideas didn't turn into what we thought they would when we had that idea, right? And that's okay. Again, it's trusting that ideas are infinite. Like our ability to create ideas is what's more important than the ideas that we have, if you will, because when we trust that we are an infinite source of ideas and that ideas will keep flowing, then we can try them out. We can let some work, let some not work, and just kind of enjoy that. I keep thinking of it as a dance. I don't know, but enjoy that beautiful process. And again, we learn then what systems and what processes work for us, what we need to have in place in our lives, in our schedules, in order then to apply the ideas as they come and as our soul calls us to take action on them. So that was kind of all over the place, but I hope that makes sense. And just to kind of sum up then, what we've shared today, the meat and potatoes of this episode, if you are feeling overwhelmed by the amount of ideas that you have, then first of all, celebrate. Say, hooray, I am an idea machine. Give yourself a big hug. Have a little living room dance party for yourself. We high five you because that's a really great thing. And then, and of course, sure, capture those ideas. Have a journal for your ideas and continue to exercise those idea muscles. Then create the time and the space and invest in the plan or the strategy that's going to help you to implement any ideas that come to you, any and all ideas that come to you. Then step 3 would be to choose the idea that makes the most sense for you to use as a guinea pig project, or whatever one is calling the loudest to you at that moment, or whichever one feels the easiest to implement and to test out the system and the structure and the plan so that you can run with it if it takes off, or you can rinse and repeat when another inspired idea comes to you. But at least you're getting in the habit of taking action on your ideas. You're getting in the habit of creating the space in your schedule and your life to do the work, or the, whatever action will be required of you to implement that idea. And you'll be building up your muscles in terms of learning tech, building confidence, all that good stuff. And so we thought also another thing that we wanted to incorporate into our weekly podcast is a little bit of a call to action for you, to give you some a weekly amoeba to work on. And if you're familiar with our work, amoeba is something that we've incorporated into our weekly planning system, and that is whatever your most important bold action for the week is. So your most important bold action for the week. And we like to call it amoeba because it sounds like amoeba.
So your amoeba for this week. And okay, let's add another layer to this real quick, because another reason why some ideas never take off is because we're the only ones who know about them. And once you tell someone, there's a little bit of accountability to do something with it, right? So your amoeba for this week is to take a look at your ideas and start to think about which idea you want to start implementing. This week, we're going to take a small step in whatever direction your soul is calling you to go, okay? And don't think that this is going to be, if you work full time and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to quit my job. Like, is this like, do I have to like put in my 2 weeks? No, don't do that. Okay. This is just go with what feels good. Go with what feels right here. Okay. But the idea is to take action on an idea that you've had. Now, level 2, jump in the tribe on Facebook, bit.ly/BLE tribe, and tell us what that is. Share your idea with us and let us know what you're going to do this week to take action on it. And you never know, there's probably someone in that group who is really excited about what you're going to do or really needs what you want to offer. And they're going to be there to welcome you and accept you and love you up and nudge you to bring this idea to life. Okay? Sound good?
I love it. Yay. Awesome, guys. Well, you've got your amoebas for the week, and we'll see you in the tribe, and we'll be back in your ears in a week.
I can't stop dancing now. It's too late. I hope you cut this out because it's weird.
I'm totally gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it.